Hey everybody! Hope you guys are all doing well, and thank you so much for joining us live here. I am Jeff Fuzzy Wenzel, CEO of Woodshed Agency, and what we are doing right now is we are going to be doing a 30-minute review show where I check out a Kickstarter campaign page for the first time with the project creator, and I go through it and I show them things that they may want to do better, or I give them advice and suggestions, right? So that is what we are doing here. And just coming up here in just a minute. So you're going to see me tune into that interview here in just a second. And today we're going to be talking to the Bit Buckle. His name is Marcus. And I'm going to preference today that this was an interesting conversation. And I'm not going to tell you why, but you're going to hear it instantly. So stay tuned for just a minute because we're going to be into that conversation in literally a couple seconds. So what we're doing here, if you are thinking about running crowdfunding, I've got a ton of information for you. So if you guys go over right now to woodshed.agency, you can go to our blog section. Every Tuesday, I put out new blogs all around things that you can be doing to enhance and improve either your crowdfunding campaigns, whether it's reward-based or equity, or what you can be doing with e-commerce, Facebook ads, all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of valuable information in our blog section. Like I said, that is every Tuesday. Also, you can subscribe to our podcast. Every Monday and Thursday, we've got brand new episodes coming out where I talk to project creators while they're in the middle of a campaign and they are successfully funded, meaning that they've raised a lot of capital. So make sure you guys go and tune into those. And then last but not least, if you want, we have if you go to the community section and you click on that, you'll be linked over to our Discord community where I've got over 90 people in there talking about crowdfunding, e-commerce, project creations, all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of valuable information. We want to make sure that if you're doing a crowdfunding campaign, you are not alone out there, right? There's somebody to help. And there's somebody to call if you're running into issues, because it truly is one of the hardest things to do in today's world, is to launch a successful Kickstarter campaign. So with all that said, I hope you guys are doing well. And why don't we go ahead and kick it over to my interview? Excuse me, not interview. What am I talking about? This isn't a podcast. I'm getting all jarbly here. Why don't we go ahead and kick it over? We're going to talk to Marcus. We're going to go through his campaign page right now. So why don't we go ahead and jump on in here and check out what he's working on? Here we go. All right, Marcus. So why don't you tell my guests or my listeners who you are and what your campaign is on Kickstarter?
My name is Marcus, and I have designed the Bit Buckle that we are currently preparing to launch on Kickstarter. It's basically a combination of a Bit Buckle and a Swiss Army tool.
Okay. Awesome. Well, it sounds interesting. Why don't we go ahead and jump right on into it here? So let me go ahead and share my screen here. And let me hit this. Share there. All right. Does this look like your page here?
Yeah.
All right. We did it. We are in. All right. Let's start the old journey here. So as my listeners and my audience knows, I don't really dive too far into it beforehand. So I'm going to try to look at this campaign just like I would be a first-time backer. So, now obviously, if your campaign was live, I wouldn't have this screen. So let's go ahead and just jump into it. So, and I'll close this out as well. So this is kind of your front page here. First thing I want to ask is, are the goals, in terms of a goal number here and days to go, are these set or are these just placeholders for right now?
These are just placeholders. I'd
okay.
say that the page is 90% finished.
90% there? Okay. So is there a goal number that is actually in your mind if this is a placeholder? Is it a little bit higher than this, lower than this?
I think that the goal is going to be
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
15,000.
Okay, gotcha. 15,000. Okay, cool. We got 45 days to go here. And is this about ballpark of timeline that you're shooting for?
30 to 45.
Okay. All right, got it. So let's jump into it. So we've got our title up here, the belt buckle. Concealed carry, utility knife, and tool set for everyday carry. Lifetime guarantees, design in Denmark. Okay. All right. Let's kind of go through here. So probably the first thing we're going to do is probably just watch this video, right? If I'm intrigued enough, I think you've got a pretty good hero image here showing what it's going to do. So let's watch the video.
Your belt is capable of more than you think. So why would you walk around with a belt that only holds up your pants? We took the tools that enable you to fix any everyday situation and we put them into this. We created the Bit Buckle. The first tool in our arsenal is the utility blade. A small blade is handy in a variety of situations. We also make sure that the blade is locked securely in place by magnets so it won't unintentionally deploy, especially this close to your business. Second feature of the bit buckle, the bits themselves. We store these inside of the buckle and they're easily accessed by one push of your thumb. Simply take the bit you need, put it in the high torque hex driver. You just turn your bit buckle into a screwdriver.
A screwdriver can come in handy in all kinds of situations. Whether you're changing some batteries, tightening up some glasses, or just messing around with camera equipment. The bit buckle is intuitive to use and you can deploy it in seconds. The two-part design makes it easy to deploy from your belt, to get the job done, and return to base.
All the tools inside of the bit buckle are tightly secured by magnets. And to prove just how well the buckle is attached, we hired a guy to do a backflip guy.
The bit buckle is fast to deploy. Let's compare it with a regular pocket tool. Now, the bit buckle. The bit buckle is CNC machined out of a single block of 7075 T6 aluminum. That's what marketers like to call aerospace grade aluminum, which is a buzzword and mostly untrue. However, it is true that 7075 T6 is one of the strongest aluminum alloys and has strength and hardness that compares to steel while being very lightweight. The surface is hard anodized and available in two options, black and space gray. We refined the design until we had a perfect blend of utility, style, and ease of use. High precision manufacturing has allowed us to make good use of the limited space of a belt buckle. Each mechanism feels nice and tactile to use. Unlike many crowdfunding campaigns, the bit buckle is fully developed. We just need funds to set up tooling for mass production, which makes it possible for you to buy at a reasonable price.
Very cool. Yeah, I think the video does almost everything you needed to do there. No big glaring red flags, has a little bit of humor in it, tells the story, shows what the product does. So yeah, I think kudos. It's a very good job on the video. Awesome. Let's keep going. Yeah, I think it's good. Yeah, no big red flags or anything. So I think it's a good Kickstarter video. Now, I also look at it too as to imagine how that might play into Facebook ads or how that might work for, shorter content, that type of stuff. Like but that's not typically how a backer might look at it. They might just watch the video and go, okay, cool. And more than likely people would probably tune out when you start getting into the details of like the aluminum and stuff. I know my mind started to wander just a little bit, and I know that that's a little bit in the weeds of your product and it needs to be in that video. So it's all great, but just trying to imagine that the everyday consumer is probably going to start to, what they'll probably do is what I would do next. Okay. I watched a little bit of it. I hit the pause button and I scroll down. Now, I think one thing to think about here too is potentially moving this image to here as opposed to starting with text. A lot of the campaigns I like to see that image right away. So just I'm reassuring or reconfirming with people right away that this is the image, this is the product, and you've got a great GIF here. So I probably would just move this above this text, just knowing that people aren't going to probably sit here and start reading. So just flipping that a little bit. I think you've got some good GIFs here. I think all this is fine. This looks good. Probably right around here-ish or so, I might put a pre-order button in that would drop like a big button that says pre-order now or something along those lines. And that would then be a hyperlink to, if you click one of the rewards, how it takes you to the next page on Kickstarter, and it's where all the rewards are. So it could be a hyperlink to that. So again, might have a big pre-order now button and then drives people right to that page where they can purchase. So I try to think of them as plates. So like you got your top, you've that above the fold. Now you give them that option to purchase right away without having to, and especially if you think about where I'm talking about it, the rewards aren't over here at this point.
Oh yeah.
Right? So you're asking people then to scroll back up and then see the reward that they want. So again, just gives you an option that if they're staying here, put a button in here that drives them to that to where all the reward page is.
That's a great idea.
Cool. And then let's look at next year. Yeah, I think this is good. Got good gifts. So I think, one of the things that is kind of standing out to me as I'm just kind of scrolling through this is, who is this customer? I think would be a question that I would ask you. Who's the customer in your mind?
Yes, that's also the question I've been trying to figure out. But I think this is a really general tool. So like a gadget or like a collector of multi tools.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So a couple things that was in my head as I was going through this and thinking about, I'm probably your customer, and I'll tell you why. One, I do live audio sound for big mega churches. I used to own recording studios. I would always be in a scenario where I had to fix something and I would have to go to a toolbox, right? And what you're saying is I basically have this on me all the time. And even when I go out and I do like live festivals, I'll have stuff attached to my belt, like a flashlight, maybe some wire clips or electrical tape, whatever, gaff tape, whatever it is, so that if I'm up on a stage, I grab my stuff, boom, fix it. So like I'm a customer. My business partner, Sean, is a video guy. So you've got, a couple photos here, but there's never any like GIF of real life use or a testimonial of somebody saying it. So again, let's try to imagine my business partner, Sean. He's on a video shoot and he's probably dealing with one of these scenarios down here, right? To have him say it as opposed to just being a stock image like this or a standard image, I think would be huge, like big time beneficial for you. Again, it gets out of just a standard image and gets into, again, imagine my business partner, Sean, going, hey, I'm Sean Neal. I do video production. I was stuck a couple weeks ago where I didn't have a screwdriver. Luckily, I had this on my belt. Boom. The shoot went on. I didn't waste any time. I didn't have to have an assistant go get something. So if there's more scenarios along those lines of this potential audience that you could think of using it in real life, and we're not talking about a lot, but just like little either gifts or people in real life using it, I think that would go a long way in terms of showing this in the real life.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
it's also because we've been like trying to figure out like exactly who to aim this at, but we also want to be careful not going too like precise after a certain group of people. Like I think like the what do you call it? Like guys who are into cameras, they're really gonna think this is cool. But we also want to be careful that we don't mention it too much, so that people who are into something else, they still can see the value in it.
Sure. Yeah. I think that, that slippery slope when it comes to crowdfunding. So crowdfunding is different in our opinion than general marketing. When we think about those concerns, which they're valid concerns, we think about them sort of after a Kickstarter, when you're on Amazon or Shopify or whatever it is, right? When we're starting to scale up that audience. But because Kickstarters are so hyper-focused and they are so into problem solution and I want to support your project, right? That it tends to, you do almost kind of want to have a little bit more of a narrow scope. And the reason also is now starting to imagine the Facebook ad traffic that you're driving here. So let's say you started running ads to, people who do photography or camera gear or whatever it is, right? We'll just keep using that example. And let's say they get to this page and they're not represented. or they're only represented right here, and they don't really feel like, wait a minute, this project isn't for me. And I'll give you one other thing. My business partner Sean, he flies all the time, right? So he's constantly flying with our gear. So weight restrictions for him are huge. So if you tell me that he has to carry 5 or 6 different tools, and your thing does the same thing, but it weighs a lot less for again, because we have to pay for baggage fees and that sort of stuff. Boom, that's why he buys stuff. That's why we've upgraded lighting. That's why we've upgraded cables. A lot of times it's based on weight, because I don't have to have more tools in our toolbox, right? When I'm in Detroit, let's say he's filming in San Francisco, right? And he's, we don't want to spend a whole bunch in baggage fees. So again, my point to that is, let's say he comes over to this page and he's going through this and he goes, okay, I get it. But you're showing me, I can open boxes. Oh, okay. Well, that's, opening box isn't like a major, like hyper thing I have to do really, really fast at home, right? Which is what your product is ultimately saying. Like, boom, look how quick I did this. Like if I get an Amazon box, I don't know, I just open it. It's not a pressure scenario, as opposed to actors on a set. I've got a timeline. I need to do this. Oh, and by the way, it doesn't weigh very much, or it's very, very portable. So I agree with what you're saying. I just think you may have to think about that after your Kickstarter and really think about that focusedness, so that your traffic that you're sending is spot on. Even if it is these gamers that, I got to change batteries or I got to fix stuff. Cool, totally cool. If I'm a tinkerer in my garage, meaning that I'm like, soldering stuff, I'm a guitar tech, I got, those types of people you may want to be thinking about just finding a way to represent them is what I'm trying to get to. But past that, all the stuff is, I think, again, the page has a lot of good movement, so that's all awesome. Got your renders, that's great. Yeah, got your lifetime guarantee, all good. All right, so I think the next thing that I'm missing, and it kind of comes in here right at the very end, is an actual, like, I would probably move this type of image up and really focus in on a reward, on what the rewards are image. And I think too, the rewards are probably gonna have to be fleshed out just a touch. I know it's challenging, but like, there's only 2 rewards, and you don't want to go crazy with it.
It's actually the last thing we are really missing. It's to find the correct price point.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yep.
Because it's about balancing like how quality it is, but also the price.
Sure.
Because the product we are having here is very high quality, and the price reflects that. So we've been a bit scared if the price is actually too high.
Yep. Yeah. So I will give you some advice here. We had a product in this ballpark. It was a all-in-one gadget tool. It had a hammer. It had, you can go look it up. It's the Zeus handy tool. And it's really one of our failures that when I go out teaching, I teach of it as a failure moment for us as an agency, because it was something that it was expensive. It had screwdrivers in it. It was all based on speed. And what we found, and I'm just telling you what we found, is that people couldn't see the value in it to that degree. And one of the reasons was, to a lot of people, we felt like it looked like, or the feedback we got in our post surveys was, they thought it was more like a quick Christmas gift for somebody, or it was an impromptu thing. And it didn't really hit the mark of something that you would spend a lot of money for. It was something that you would pick up at your local, you're out shopping at some hardware store and you just pick it up, and it's almost like a Christmas gift to some degree, or something that you get that uncle that you're not really think about what to get him. You don't really know. And because it had that sort of mindset, it was challenging to have value to it. So if what you're talking about there, then you've got to really find phenomenal creative to show how indestructible this thing is, how you're going to have it on your belt for the next 5 or 6 years. And then I would go back to probably my first point and say, well, now your audience is me and my business partner, Sean, because we spend money on accessories to make our professional life better, right? So I'm, spending $100 on an accessory, no brain, I do that all day, right? I have every single gadget imaginable. If you're going to be a part of that gadget, then you have to really make sure that you're targeting somebody who $100 doesn't mean very much. If you were to target my wife, let's say, and she looked at this as like a birthday present, she would go, this is like 15 bucks, 20 bucks. She's not
Yeah.
going to get into the weeds of it, right? Like she's not going to see the time. She's not going to see that sort of stuff. So I think that that's where it becomes really, really important. So like now I come back and I go, well, these first couple images, of a guy in a suit, like I've never wore a suit to any one of my professional gigs ever, right? Like, I'm in jeans. I got my utility belt. I'm like running around at a live festival trying to fix stuff. I'm not dressed up, right? Now, or if you think your audience is somebody who is on a bike all the time and they have to do a quick repair on a bike chain and they're off to work, maybe, maybe that's what your audience is, and maybe that image. So now I start going back, like, oh, I don't know if, this attire represents me. This is a little bit closer, just the flannel and so it's all these like little things to be thinking about. And again, imagine that when somebody gets here, they got about 20 seconds to think about, yeah, let me keep looking, and the more they might scroll down, they might get more info, but that first impression is so important. So I think you are going to have to really navigate those waters around price point, what you're representing, and who this audience is. And you may, in your drip emails, let's say you're getting somebody to sign up through a pre-launch, you may want to survey these people. Hey, who are you? What kind of job do you do? Where do you think
Yeah,
our price
actually,
point should land?
we've been doing this. So after you sign up,
Mhm.
you get an email asking what would you use this for, and I've been getting a lot of good responses on
Great.
that. So
That's great.
that's really helping to figure out like who would be interested in buying this.
Yeah, and I think so. One of the things that I'm just going to speak to ourselves. This is what one of our struggles was on the Zeus handy tool, and one of our struggles there was because the product did so many things, it actually didn't do anything really well. So yes, it had a hammer. Yes, it had screwdrivers. It had a leveler, but it didn't do any of those things really, really well. It just did all of them to some degree. In a product like this, I think you're gonna have to find that too, of like, it does this thing so well. And maybe it's just quickness, or maybe it's the like, boom, I can fix this thing right away. It might just be that. Then you have to really just kind of keep harping on that. That's what it does really, really well, because it truly isn't going to replace your toolbox. And I don't think you're suggesting that in this, right? So it's not like I don't have to take my toolbox on a work site with my, all my different screwdrivers for all the different variations or Allen wrenches or whatever it might be. So you really are saying, this is that in case of emergency, that is this like, boom, you got to do something really quick. So I think you have to just be very cautious that this is what the thing does really, really well, and not get caught up in like, it could be all of this stuff, right? Because at the end of the day, if it's all that stuff, then it isn't really anything. And I'm only saying that because that is our failure in a campaign somewhat similar to this type of product. So
Yeah, I
just stuff to
think
think about,
that they really should focus on like making this the tool you always have with you.
Yeah. And that might be it too. And then, so in that scenario, then I would say my cautious point would be, well, what if this is the tool that you always have with you, but the screw is like, I don't know, a bigger one, whatever, too small, whatever it might be. My glasses broke, right? And the little screws on the glasses. Now, if this thing can't perform in that scenario, I hate your product, right? Like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. I was supposed to have this product with me all the time because I could fix stuff. I wear it on my belt. My glasses broke. The screw, the little screw in here, it's too big. It doesn't work. Why am I carrying this thing? So now it would flip the opposite. So now again, it goes back down to being very, very somewhat specific as to this is who is ultimately buying this thing, because you will never be mad at it. Like you'll never not wear it, because it saved you 4 or 5 times, and again, I don't quite know what some of those answers are. I've never done the market research or got into it, but those would be things that I would be thinking about behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's some
Sound
great
good?
points.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking time and chatting with us. It's always an exciting time when you're getting ready to launch a Kickstarter. I know every time I do, man, I'm always so giddy because there's so many variations, and I don't want these calls to feel like I spun you, but these are just things that I would be thinking about or what would be going through my head. I think you've got a product. It's very intriguing, and your page is like 90% there. A few more pre-order now buttons in it. Figuring out these rewards, nice images to talk about these rewards. So if I buy 2 of them, or if I buy a gift set, that it's sort of represented somewhere over in this page. I think that, but it sounds like once those kind of come together, maybe you can start thinking about those images. But again, you're on the right page with a lot of movement on the page with gifts, and you've got a little bit of humor in here, which I think is great. That goes really well too. So I think you're really, really, really close. It's probably going to come down now to your math equations around, if the conversion rate of your Kickstarter page is roughly 1%, and your email list is converting between 4 to 6%, how much traffic do you need to send per day? Just working out that math equation to make sure that you're sending enough traffic consistently and coming out of the gate on that first 48 hours with a huge, just a huge swell, right? You should really hit your goal right away. I mean, so yep. So that's really what you want to be hitting on. But I think after that, man, great campaign, great product. Kudos to working on it. And I'm excited to kind of watch from my end and see what you guys do.
And thank you very much for all your great input and your time.
Cool. Yeah, no problem, man.
It's really helpful.
Great. Awesome. Well, I'm glad we could help. And if you need anything, you know where to find us. And I appreciate you being on the show. And I look forward to seeing what you're doing, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye now.
Something you'll never be. So reach back and grab your life again. Escape